and gentlemen, please welcome Frankie Boyle!
Hello and welcome to the 2018 New World Order Review of the Year. After a year of war, political difference and uncertainty, let's try to concentrate on the positives. Gerard Butler's house burnt down. Saudi Arabia murdered the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Britain was really annoyed about that. We sent them a very sternly worded arms invoice. To be fair to Saudi Arabia, they are modernising. Next year, they're going to start doing all their beheadings by chainsaw. We had a royal wedding this year. Apparently, Meghan Markle appeared in an episode of CSI. I think as research for her own eventual murder. If you watch Elton John during the ceremony, he's mentally rewriting Crocodile Rock to be about a helicopter crash. Jeremy Corbyn had to fend off accusations that he'd laid a wreath on the graves of some Palestinian terrorists. And he quite rightly said, look, just because I was in a place where some terrorists were buried doesn't mean that I support terrorism. I think that's fair enough. I've been to Highgate Cemetery, where Karl Marx is buried. Doesn't make me a Marxist. I only go there to wank on George Eliot's tombstone. In a year of increasing political polarisation, it was difficult to remember sometimes that the Lib Dems still actually exist. Lib Dem is niche, isn't it? It's almost like a perversion. The difference between a Lib Dem meeting and a wife-swapping party is that a wife-swapping party generally involves at least 4 people. I think the man of the year was Dominic Raab, a guy who resigned because he couldn't agree to a deal that he himself had negotiated. Dominic Raab could be outmanoeuvred by a statue of Stephen Hawking. To be fair to Dominic Raab, he didn't want to be Brexit secretary, but he didn't have the negotiating skills to turn it down. Now, we have to say, at the point where we're recording this show, Theresa May is still trying to get her Brexit deal through Parliament. But is what we're doing with the EU at this stage, can it even be called getting a deal? Because we have nothing to negotiate with. We have no leverage. What kind of deal is that? It's a bit like your septic tank has exploded and you're covered from head to foot in shit. You're phoning up the plumber going, I'm prepared to offer you a deal. In Ireland, people voted to legalise abortion, just 59 years too late to stop Bono. Our current limit is 24 weeks, but I think it should be extended to whatever age James Corden currently is. Next year, I want to see James Corden self-abort by having Ant McPartland on Carpool Karaoke. Let's hear Ready to Rumble on the fucking Autobahn. OK, let's get on with the show. Joining me to discuss the big events of the year are Miles Jupp, Angela Barnes, data journalist Mona Chalabi and Jamali Maddix. Thanks for joining us. You've had a good year?
It's been marvellous, yeah. I mean, topped off, obviously, by your festive cheer, Frankie.
What was your favourite moment of the year, Miles?
I'm slightly obsessed with Elon Musk. He's had to stop being the CEO of his own company because he was smoking cannabis, which upset the board, not unreasonably. He fired a car into space just so that he could have a photo taken of it, which is sort of galactic fly tipping. It is an amazing company he runs, but he's got this kind of megalomania sort of level of ego to it, so he thinks he can get involved. He clearly hates it if you disagree with him about kind of anything. So, for instance, when the Thai boys were trapped in the cave, he was like, I've got a mini sub, that could solve it. And someone there said, no, we're here, actually. We've thought about that, seriously. It wouldn't. He went, well, you're just a pedo. Which is not the same as saying, well, can we have a second opinion or whatever? He's just...
I think maybe his ultimate legacy is to make Richard Branson seem less of a cunt. What about you, Angela?
My favourite news story of this year is that clowns are on the decline. And apparently there are only 100 registered clowns left in this country. Clowns aren't fashionable anymore. Now, if you're going to be caked in makeup and hanging out with people much younger than you, you'd better be Johnny Depp. That's...
I think now if that's gone, there's only really 2 or 3 great paedophile jobs left. I mean, down to pretty much scoutmaster and PE teacher, aren't it?
Or BBC presenter.
Well, yeah. What about you, Mona? What was your highlight of the year?
I was very fascinated by the Croydon cat killer. This news even made it over to the US, where people were like, what is a Croydon?
But what was the ultimate explanation? They said it was a fox?
Foxes, yeah.
I'd sort of imagined that the cats, because they lived in Croydon, were committing suicide.
And mutilating themselves afterwards.
What about you, Jamali?
I would say it's sort of a big point this year was the Sean Walsh scandal, right? And what I think happened is it kind of showed the sort of cancerous TMZ culture that we've become now, because everyone jumped on this sort of morality bandwagon. And everyone's just like, ugh, we've never done nothing bad in our lives. And it didn't help that Piers Morgan jumped on his side. That kind of like, fuck. If Piers Morgan backs you up, you'd be like, fuck, come on, Piers. Like anyone but Piers Morgan, bruv. I'd be like, Jupp, sit this one out. I'd rather him be against me.
I mean, obviously Sean's a fellow stand-up comedian, so we all couldn't give a fuck if he lived or died. But I thought, that thing, that's just that thing that happens on Strictly, isn't it? That's like, he's not the first person to have done that. They call it the curse of Strictly. And it's one of the better curses to have, isn't it? It's like you shag a dancer. Yeah. It's not like getting strangled by a mum. Oh, damn you, Satan. Now, tonight I'll be making a statement that sums up my view of the year. And that statement is... 2018, the year when Aretha Franklin had a better year than you. The news agenda of 2018 was dominated by the ongoing negotiation of Britain's exit from the European Union. Back in July, Theresa May revealed her Chequers agreement, laying out her plan for our future relationship with the EU, which started a chain of events that would see both David Davis and Boris Johnson resign. So, not all bad. Worse was to come when the government was found in contempt of Parliament, having refused to publish legal advice about the Irish backstop and losing the support of the DUP. The DUP, a party where every MP looks like a committee member of a bowling club who's just seen a visitor enter the bar wearing jeans. Have you guys got sick of Brexit yet?
I feel about Brexit sort of the same way as I feel about being flashed at by a stranger. Now, I don't care anymore if it's hard or soft. I just want it to fuck off.
Her current plan seems to be to just hang on to the new year. I mean, there's like people in a hospice who've got a better plan now.
I'm kind of like leaning into it now, and I'm actually hoping that like we do a Brexit, everything's fucked, we go back to Mad Max era, like basically London in the year 2000s, before it was gentrified, where the top deck of the bus was dangerous, before white people moved into my area. Like, it was fucking great, right? You could buy a bag of weed, it was all for a tenner. Like, it was a great time. That's what I'm hoping we go back to. We go back to the fucked up time of London where half of this audience wouldn't survive. That's what
I worry, though, that I've become gentrified. I don't think I could survive that either.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, you're fucked.
The biggest thing with me, it's such a sort of colossal fuck-up. If I made a cup of tea as badly as she's messed this up, I would take to my bed for a week, presumably with heavily bandaged hands, having failed to get any hot water in a cup, and yet somehow having managed to flood the house, kill the dog I didn't know I had. And if 2 years ago you'd asked me to break a cup of tea, I said, I don't like tea, I don't believe in tea. If I made a cup of tea, it'd be disastrous for the UK economy. That's kind of... It's incredible display.
But she's managed to do something where just no one's happy. It reminds me of being a kid like planning the family holiday, and your mum wants to go on a beach holiday and your dad wants to go somewhere with a bit of culture, and they can't agree, so you end up all just being fucking miserable at Butlins. That's what we've got.
The thing is there's no alternative. So 47% of Brits think that she should step down as PM, but 49% of Brits don't like Corbyn either. There's no alternatives, and it's so surreal as well that when I was here a year ago, it was pretty much the same numbers. Like, there was just no one who had any degree of popularity among the British public.
Again, you say there's no other options. Terror Dome. It's like the Terror Dome. Fight to the fucking end. Throw a knife on the floor. Let's do this. Corbyn versus Theresa May. And you know, I actually take Theresa May in that fight. Yeah. Theresa May looks like she would kill you with the sharpened bones of your children. That's the type of
But why is she doing it? She doesn't seem to be... Could you imagine an interviewer just said to her, "Are you happy?" I mean, you don't look happy.
She's weirdly, for a Tory, it's like she's got a sense of duty that is very rare. You know, you can't imagine that Boris would have put up with what she's put up with for so long.
I think he would. I think they just want to be number one, and they're on that spot, and they just cling on forever like a fucking barnacle.
We saw with the vote, you know, last week, the vote of no confidence, that what's the point in a leadership change? There isn't a point. It's like changing the captain after the Titanic's hit the iceberg. It's nothing different will happen, and she is clinging on like Kate to Leonardo on that plank.
Even she let go. Like, even she let go. Like, you gotta know what he's thinking. Like.
Theresa May has had a challenging year, but she can be proud of the fact that against all the odds, she has shown that she can dance. Shown that she can dance like an uncloaked Dementor on a hen weekend. Here she is getting mixed reviews as she defies her critics with an excruciating entrance at the Conservative conference in October.
Theresa May is coming into the hall. There she is. She's taken to the stage. Oh, she wasn't dancing there. Oh, there she is. She's doing the robots. Theresa May, the Prime Minister. Oh, Dancing Queen is the music. That's why. That's why she is tapping her feet, literally.
Oh, I prefer Aretha Franklin's respect, to be honest.
Oh. You're not enjoying the dancing here? All right, Theresa May, with her speech to conference in 2018, when she stops dancing, that is.
I've seen people dance more naturally when they're being hung. Do you think if the commentator hadn't said she was dancing, we would have known that's what it was?
But they all went for it, didn't they? They all stood up and clapped for her. Those people, they're her enablers. They should be ashamed of her.
After last year's conference speech, after 2017, all she had to do was turn up and not shit herself. That's all she had to do.
And we don't know she did.
Well, she's dancing like she did.
It's clever, it's calculated. It means that all of the press were talking about her dancing rather than her policies. It's smart.
But she's been sort of desperately going around Europe. Presumably they're not even meeting her. She's just getting told to fuck off in 6 different languages by 6 different PAs. And she just goes and sits in the park and has a packed lunch or something. You know, they don't want her there. They're probably getting rid of freedom of movement just so she can't visit them anymore. What about you, Mona? Do you think it's going to be a hard or a soft Brexit?
Do you know what? I just think those terms are so bizarre. It's also just interesting to me how people keep on trying to come up with all of these other explanations for people's philosophies. A lot of it is just racism, though. We're only talking about EU immigration. We're not talking about immigration from outside of the EU, where numbers have consistently risen.
Yes.
Why is it that some immigrants get demonised and others not so much, anyway?
Well, I think we know the reason.
It was a rhetorical question.
How many questions do you think there should be? If there was a second referendum, not saying there will be, but if there was a second referendum, how many different questions should there be? I mean, should there be like a don't know and another kind of thing, or there is a box at the bottom for you to add your own comments kind of thing?
People do want a second referendum. Over half of people in a poll that was done this week. But 51% also said they believe that doing another referendum would be a breach of faith. So it's like people want a second referendum even though they think it's wrong to do it.
It says a lot about the current state of British politics that a cult of personality can form around Jeremy Corbyn, a man whose dating profile would simply read, alive. The Labour Party seemed less effective at criticising the Tory position on Brexit than the Tories, but they did half-heartedly agree to a debate. Here's an uncomfortable-looking Corbyn awkwardly discussing the details on This Morning.
We understand, as it stands at the moment, that there was an ITV proposal that you'd agreed to on Sunday the 9th of December, just before the I'm a Celeb final.
Yep.
And now we hear that Theresa May is having a debate on the BBC on December the 9th. So are you debating on opposite channels?
Well, it'd be quite difficult, actually, wouldn't it?
Yes. So do you know where you're going?
All I know is that I've accepted the idea of a debate, very happy to do so. I did that on Sunday night as soon as the Prime Minister made the suggestion. The ITV offer seemed a sensible one. It reaches a wide audience and the timing looked good to me because it's not inconveniencing people who may wish to watch other things later in the evening. One should always have respect for the viewers. And also we want to get the widest possible
So your
and most
debate
diverse
is based
audience.
around people being able to watch the I'm a Celebrity final.
Indeed so. Maybe I want to watch it myself as well.
It's good when you tell such a big lie that you've actually got to swallow first. I can't wait to watch the I'm a Celebrity final.
I think we did all buy into it when Jeremy Corbyn was elected, but like, the new face of politics, a different, different kind of politics. And then actually he's just proved that he's just a politician like all the others who says a lot without saying anything. And it doesn't, he's just a bit scruffier than the others, and wearing a suit from Georgia Asda doesn't make you Che Guevara. It's not, and especially on Brexit, where he's just said nothing.
I like the way he said people want to watch other things, as if he was sort of making a veiled reference to Babe Station or something.
Babe Station, Miles.
What is it?
Yeah, Miles.
Oh, right.
It's the most outdated porn reference. I mean, I'd imagine if you switched Babe Station on now, there'll be, like, just dead bodies instead. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't be able to crack one out, but...
How lovely.
To be fair to him, he's never pretended to be anything other than a politician, and a pretty bad politician. I mean, he even tried to scrub up. He looks like a pigeon that's inherited a suit. He's never really inhabited that, and he sort of does these interviews where he feels he's got to do this mainstream thing. He almost put on a little Alan Bennett voice there, where he was sort of like, indeed so. Almost as if he's got to deny the actuality of what he's saying.
He's not a bad dude. Like, I think he's all right. Like, one thing I did like about him, he was one of those few politicians, and I think it is kind of showing the new way of how you want to get youth. It's even like when he done interviews with grime MCs, he didn't put his hat to the side and go, "Oi, blood!" Like, he just spoke to like human beings.
What does Poland say about him?
He's not very popular. About 49% of people don't like him. That's not a great number if you're running for office.
Is there any evidence that they'd win a general election?
All of these things are estimations, right? Only 19% of Brits think that Corbyn would do a better job at handling Brexit than May.
Oh, depressing, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Brexit has a lot of problems, but I think it'll be nice for the Irish to watch a British famine. Anyway, the Spice Girls have been reformed like a chicken nugget. And decided to give their thoughts on Brexit in a casual backstage interview for Lorraine.
I want to get an update, guys, because there's a lot going on in the world right now. Brexit?
Well, that's another... The political stuff's really difficult.
I don't live here.
Can
I break this down to you lot? Whatever the outcome is the outcome. Again, okay, whether we all have a vote, okay, the most important thing is let's stop the divisiveness, come together. Yeah. I can honestly say what I'm so proud about us lot. We have different views, okay, we do. We do argue.
But we respect our differences, and I think that's what's important.
Yeah, and we're just managing to work through those differences, and that is the most important thing.
But it's very easy for Jay to give a speech about everybody coming together when one of you isn't there.
Actually, it's a good analogy for Brexit, isn't it, the new Spice Girls tour? Because it's, them reforming and touring seemed like could be a good idea at the time, but then when it came to it, it was quite difficult, and the posh one's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. It would have been amazing if, like, Mel C had just solved it. Just, like, ad-libbed it. Well, maybe we could do some Norway triple plus thing that kind of floating customs union, and it just, oh, fuck. In these troubled times, there's a clamour to canvass celebrity opinion. Bobby Gillespie of Primal Scream went on This Week to warn us that Britain was sliding back to the 1930s. As the credits rolled, Gillespie showed how amused he was by the hilarious antics of Andrew Neil.
Nighty night, don't like the skibidi dance challenge bite.
You people need to be stopped, man.
I don't think anyone's ever represented the viewer better on a show before.
I mean, I've been on that programme and it is fucking unbearable.
Anyway, no doubt, to some extent, Brexit is related to the death of the British Empire. 59% of British people think the Empire is still something to be proud of. We saw more of Britain's neo-colonial attitudes on display during the Windrush scandal in January. Amber Rudd was sacked when the Conservative Party grew worried the scandal would make people think badly of them, which must be a bit like going off Hitler because you heard that he didn't recycle. Did you all follow the Windrush scandal?
My family, Jamaicans, and they came around that era of the Windrush, right? And the reason they came on the Windrush was to work jobs like your nurses, your bus drivers, your this, your that. And then when they got here, they were called nigger, nignog, coon, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. They were treated like shit, but they still, and equal. My family still have pride in this country, even though they treat them like shit. It's a sad time where I'm not surprised. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I was shocked. I wish I could be like, wow, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. It's like, well, and then they sent them back to a place where they were, that wasn't their home.
Like, the public outcry around it has been quite surreal in some ways too. New immigrants today potentially can offer just as much, but there isn't the proof of time. Like, this public outcry has been because it's been demonstrated that generation of immigrants brought taxes, they worked for this country. New immigrants could do the same. And of the 164 people that were either detained or deported, only 18 apologies, which just...
18 apologies?
18 apologies, which just blows my mind.
Now, 2018 was a year of setbacks for Donald Trump. In this, only the second year of his 14-year presidency, Trump's longtime fixer, Michael Cohen, who'd been accused of facilitating collusion with Russia, went to jail, where, ironically, he can expect to have a lot of smaller men inside him. Trump also lost control of Congress. But if there's one thing Trump really struggles with, it's behaving like anything approaching a normal human being, as demonstrated in this selection of extraordinary moments, showcasing his general incompetence and questionable grasp of reality.
The op-ed published in the failing New York Times by an anonymous, really anonymous. We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force.
So some people say, don't they, say, well, maybe he's a deliberate distraction. Maybe some of this is kind of conscious. But I can't imagine there's a political advisor backstage going, just go out there and act like you've got syphilis.
But that's the effect of when you just go off slogans. Because Americans that just dream too much. They have too much hope. There's just too much fucking hope. Like, Obama ran on just, yes, we can. Can what? Make America great. What? When was it great? It's just a slogan. And it's just, this is what they deserve.
I often wonder how crazy must Mike Pence be if someone's got no let Trump talk. What's he going to say that's worse than that? Let him take a swing.
You're good at standing on a platform near other people talking, Mike. That's your thing. That's where you excel. Try not to look surprised when he talks about space programmes. Oh, Christ.
I've been living in America for 5 years and I feel like we constantly talk about Americans as if they're this foreign species and there's no way we could be that stupid. But like the person that's currently the bookie's favourite to succeed Theresa May is Boris Johnson. Is he really that different to Trump?
Yeah, but it'll be kind of fun to watch them two talk. I can't lie. I can't be watching that and be like, this is quite funny.
They have to hold their summits in a soft play centre.
Yeah.
Both their mobile phones will have written on them, not a biscuit. While Trump's approval ratings have been historically low, this artwork spotted hanging in the White House shows that he still sees himself at the heart of American history. The only way I can interpret this is that Lincoln has told a joke and Trump doesn't understand it. Despite widespread dismay at Trump's behaviour and policies, he still enjoys the high-profile backing of Kanye West. Here's what happened when an excitable Kanye visited Trump in the Oval Office.
This right here is the iPlane 1. It's a hydrogen-powered airplane, and this is what our president should be flying in. Look at this shirt.
Get rid of Air Force One. Can we get rid of Air Force One?
What I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, or what I need the liberals to improve on is, if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America because our best export is entertainment and ideas. But when we make everything in China and not in America, then we're cheating on our country.
It just makes me fear for the future, because like a few years ago, Kanye West visiting Donald Trump in the White House to show him a hydrogen-powered airplane would have been a suggestion, an improv night or something. I mean, what I really want, though, is for Donald Trump to get into a plane designed and built by Kanye West. And flown. Trump isn't the only threat facing America. This year saw California ravaged by multiple wildfires. During an awkward visit to the scenes of devastation, Trump's comments left everyone bemused.
You got to take care of the floors, you know, the floors of the forests, very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem.
I wonder why Finland has less wildfires than California.
The president of Finland has basically explained some of the very basic principles of forestry to Donald Trump. And he hasn't understood any of them. That's all that's happening. Every time he finishes any kind of speech whatsoever, it's almost as that's the moment as if a nurse would say, well, he was in a very good mood yesterday. If only you could have come yesterday. Honestly, perfect sense all day.
It's a real problem, though, isn't it? Climate change. In fact, even the phrase climate change, I mean, we've got to get rid of that now. It's like a climate disaster. I mean, there was a UN climate report where they said we've got 12 years left to try and limit global warming to less than 1.5 degrees. And if we don't, the consequences are going to be absolutely vast and disastrous.
Can we have one more good summer before we start changing?
I mean, I'm surprised we don't talk about climate change more here in the UK. What we need is David Attenborough doing more programmes about it.
Is it me or am I the only person who doesn't really like David Attenborough? He just does voiceover.
What I do think is, like, he's a bit too squeaky clean. I want to see David Attenborough caught snorting cocaine off animals. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Oh, no, I've just done a whole snake. That's what I want to see.
I just he'll do Strictly next year, and suddenly people will reassess the morality of the Strictly curse. That game of him, getting off with a dance from the street at his age, well done. What a time.
In response to flooding caused by Hurricane Florence, the Weather Channel went to great lengths to show the dangers of storm surges with this needlessly dramatic CGI report.
In the Greenville and Simpson area, we could be talking about 6 to potentially 9 feet of storm surge. This is just what it looks like on the map. We can show you what this could look like if you were to find yourself in this scenario. Once that water comes up to 3 feet, you can see it would be coming up my shins up towards my waist. This could be enough to knock you off your feet. It could even float some cars that could be parked on the side of the roadway. This is extremely dangerous, but once we get up into that 6-foot range, look at how high this water goes. Winds pick everything up, cars would be floating at this point. This water's over my head. But once we get to that 9-foot range, this is an absolute life-threatening scenario. This water is through the first floor of your home into the second. You can see there's fish floating around in here. This is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. So if you find yourself here, please get out.
I like that she can just summon that up like a Babylonian witch. I hope like Americans see her in a storm and go, use your powers! One victory for Trump this year was seeing Brett Kavanaugh sworn into the Supreme Court, a man who has faced multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. Before being sworn in, Kavanaugh faced the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he denied the allegations. Covered on virtually every network, he gave a defence where he portrayed himself as a beer-loving party boy, yet he looked as if he was unspilling like a Columbo villain.
I drank beer with my friends. Sometimes I had too many beers. I liked beer. I still like beer. There is a bright line between drinking beer, which I gladly do, and which I fully embrace. Yes, we drank beer. Yes, we drank beer. I liked beer. Still like beer. We drank beer. And we drank beer. And I said sometimes probably had too many beers, and sometimes other people had too many beers. We drank beer. We liked beer.
It makes me so angry how many, the alcohol is used as an excuse for that sort of behaviour all the time. Yet when the victim, when she's drunk, it's her fault, and I'm sick of it. Oh, don't be in the same room with him when he's had a little drink, he gets a bit handsy. Does he? I tell you what I get, a bit kick in the ballsy. Stop it.
Hansy's a disgusting term, isn't it? It's
horrible. You hear it all the time.
euphemism.
Things like, he doesn't mean it. He's a nice guy, really. Just don't be on your own in a room with him. What? It's just what's so gross about this story is that he was Donald Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court. Now, if you are Donald Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court and you have no self-doubt about that, then I don't think judgment is your thing. Right? That's the first problem. And what happened then is Trump then apologised on TV to Brett Kavanaugh, not to Christine Blasey, not to the people that were hauled up, that came out. He took that victimhood from the women and handed it straight to him.
Well, it's a bit of it's a huge worry, isn't it? Because, aside from his personal morality, whatever we think of that, he might now allow the Supreme Court to overturn Roe Wade. So, abortions would no longer be legal in America. So, in a way, worrying about his personal morality is a bit like a diabetic worrying about the hole in a donut.
It's just like Ireland, though. It won't really make it illegal. Their mistresses will still be able to have abortions, and a lot of them have had mistresses who have had abortions, but they can still fly them abroad to go and get them done.
At least you get a holiday with it. No.
The voice of reason.
Trump's commitment to Saudi Arabia as a key ally has not wavered this year, despite the CIA concluding that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Did you follow that story? Pretty grim.
I think we should probably delay judgment until we know just how much money Saudi Arabia is prepared to give us.
It's a lot. Our arms sales to them last year were over £1 billion.
Also, can we really take the moral high ground about royal families sanctioning murder?
Khashoggi was a journalist, right? And I think we really don't, in this country, appreciate how dangerous a job journalism is.
There are journalists and journalists, though. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like the way the word actor covers everyone from, Al Pacino to Sooty. In March, a strange sequence of events helped put the ancient city of Salisbury on the map of places to never, ever visit. Former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were left hospitalised after being poisoned by nerve agent Novichok. 3 others were also affected, including Dawn Sturgis, who later died. Theresa May blamed the Russian government and expelled a number of Russian diplomats from the UK. The prime suspects for the poisoning were Russian nationals Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Boshirov, believed to be members of Russia's military intelligence service. Here they are giving their not entirely convincing version of events in this tense chat with Russia Today.
Что вы там делали?
Друзья нам давно уже советовали посетить этот прекрасный город.
Солсбери?
Да.
Прекрасный город.
Да.
Он туристический город. Там есть знаменитый собор, Солсберийский собор. Он знаменит не только во всей Европе, он знаменит, я так думаю, даже во всем мире. Он знаменит своим шпилем 123-метровым. Он знаменит своими часами, самыми первыми часами, которые были изобретены в мире, которые до сих пор идут.
Salisbury, famous for its Wikipedia page. I thought British intelligence should have got on early and changed the Wikipedia page for Salisbury.
Yeah.
So they'd have got the birthplace of the Beatles.
The whole thing it's like something out of a John le Carre, isn't it? It's so
John le Carre is an excellent novelist. I'm sorry, this would not feature in a John le Carre.
It's like they carried that Novichok over here, didn't they? 2 separate containers, because it's only deadly when it's combined, like a sort of weaponised Muller fruit corner. It's proper mad.
They're not even really trying to make you believe them. They're like, cathedral? Do you believe it? No.
I think if they are telling the truth, then we have truly fucked up someone's holiday, and I feel bad for them.
And finally, before we say goodbye to the living hell that has been the last 12 months, I want to share with you one touching moment. 2018 saw This Morning celebrate its 30th anniversary. For 3 decades, they've brought us enlightening demonstrations, such as this breathtaking vaginal workout.
So here we go.
Okay, so you've got a hook on the end of the string.
Yes, that's
and
the string. If you look at the jar of Marmite, can you see it's going up and then down?
And you're literally squeezing your muscles.
Yeah, pulling up that passage. So you can imagine that passage. Yes. So you get a sense of the muscles.
Okay. This is the 250 gram.
It's amazing the use you can put to things around the house in the cupboard. Oh, that's funny. Just looking at that.
It's hurting you.
Oh.
That's not bad. There we go.
Oh my goodness. I have to say, it looks very odd.
I can lift a can of beans with my vagina as like the bleakest ever Tinder profile.
I just think, don't we judge women enough? I get judged on whether or not I have kids, whether or not I've got a job, what I look like, what I weigh, and now it's whether I work out my fanny.
Pussy like that make you leave your wife and kids just be shouting, she can pick up bean cans, and you're like,
Maybe she's just the Darren Brown of vaginas, and it's all just...
I think she's the Star Wars Death Star trash compactor.
But also, she can lift it, but she can't open the beans, can she? So, I would say she's an opening act rather than a headliner. Do you know what I mean?
At first I was angry by that, but then I thought, do you know what? There's times when I'm coming home from the shops and I wish I had more than 2 hands to carry the bag.
What was in the last bag? It just looked like a bag of shit or something.
I don't think they'd have a bag of shit on This Morning. I think the producer sits there and goes, well, we'll start with the Marmite, then we'll have beans, then we'll have a bag of shit. That's the topper.
What's heavier than beans? What's heavier than beans? Bag of shit, mate.
Well, that's the end of the show. Thanks to my guests, Miles Jupp, Angela Barnes, Mona Chalabi and Jamali Maddix. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with this thought. An American missionary called John Chow died this year, a Christian missionary trying to bring the gospel to the world's most isolated tribe, the North Sentinelese, who killed him in a hail of arrows when he landed on their island. Do you know what he did to try to relax them as he approached? When he got off the boat, he took off his clothes and approached them in a pair of black Y-fronts. There are Christian groups saying he should be a martyr. He might even become a saint, the patron saint of daft cunts. It was his 3rd visit to the island. On a previous trip, someone shot an arrow through his Bible. If only God had given him some kind of sign. He didn't bring Christianity to the North Sentinelese, but he did bring them the concept of homoerotic suicide. He hasn't died in vain. A pelican has made a nest out of his pubic hair in the remains of his Bible, and his rib cage is now a monkey's xylophone. And he didn't totally fail as a missionary. As he died, he whispered the story of Christmas into the ear of a seagull. He learned some of the North Sentinelese language, so he understood the final words he heard. Aim for his underpants, someone yelled as their top marksman split his cock in 2. His last act on earth was to piss himself in 3 different directions at once. casting rainbows like a Las Vegas fountain. He didn't give them faith, but the North Sentinelese will continue to learn from John Chow as his rotting body introduces them to every virus since Napoleon. And yet, really, I think the only thing John Chow is guilty of is something that most of us are guilty of: colonialist attitudes. British people, Europeans, Americans, we all grow up in the ruins of some kind of empire, and we tend to carry the attitudes that made them. You don't need to be right-wing for your thinking to be a product of empire. If you feel that you and your friends are some of the only good people in the world, that other people's consciousness needs to be raised to the level of your own, if you think that the religions of countries your empire fought wars against are barbaric, but the one they used to justify themselves is a certain Baroque charm, that's all post-colonial, privileged, white nonsense. Aren't we all, on some level, walking towards people with a big smile on our face and a pair of black Y-fronts? And yet, whatever happens, John Chow was right about one thing. He will be forgiven, as will his killers. We will all ultimately be forgiven, not by Jesus, but by death. The universe will also die. Forgiveness is everyone's ultimate destiny, because eventually there will be nobody left to hold a grudge and nowhere for them to do it. You will be forgiven because one day, it won't be an actual day because the sun won't exist. The concept of forgiveness will be forgotten, as will the concept of forgetting, and of concepts. We will all be forgiven by the heat death of the universe. Merry Christmas.